Shalom. We're the brothers from Toronto. I want to give our praises to Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. Double honors to the elders of Great Millstone. And shalom to the elect. Alright. My name is Yeromia.
Brother Wasip. Brother Gabar Allah. Kapayim.
And Malak Zedaki.
Alright. And basically, we're going to a trip to Niagara. Alright. We're gonna shoot some film there, but this is the intro. Okay. This is not a burgers and fringes trip. Alright. It's a spiritual trip. Alright. So anyone have any opening scripture? Well, I was gonna bring out the history. Yeah, go ahead.
This is Ecclesiastes, because in the Apocrypha 11 and 4, alright, since we mentioned burgers and fringes, boast not of thy clothing and raiment, and exalt not thyself in the day of honor, for the works of the Lord are wonderful, and his works among men are hidden. And then it says, many kings have sat down upon the ground, and one that was never thought of has worn the crown. Alright? Just like GMS. So, you know, these guys, GOC Toronto, IUIC guys, you know, they boast themselves wearing purple and white garments, you know, but you know, the lowly will get put up on top, get those crowns put on them, like also the Apocrypha brings out when Yahushua gives a crown for those people who stand stiffly for the name of the Heavenly Father.
That's right.
Many mighty men have been greatly disgraced and honorable delivered into other men's hands. Yeah. Blame not before thou hast examined the truth. Understand first and then rebuke. Yeah, so going into that whole rape issue, the Haitian man, he didn't know, he doesn't have no authority to, no understanding to go into that, you know, because he's saying that lay hold is dealing with spitting game in a woman's ear, you know.
That's right.
Yeah, so that was basically it.
Alright. So I have this article here from Wikipedia on the history of Niagara, right? So
yeah, Niagara Falls has a lot of history, like brothers probably have heard before, you know, the Underground Railroad, plus the indigenous communities that are over there, you know. Yeah, a lot of things, a lot of historic things are going on in that place.
yep. So it says the history. It says there are differing theories as to the origin of the name of the falls. According to the Iroquois scholar Bruce Trigger, Niagara is derived from the name given to a branch of the locally residing native neutral confederacy, who are described as being called the Niagara people on several late 17th century French maps of the area. According to George R. Stewart, it comes from the name of an Iroquois town called Onniara, meaning point of land cut in two. It says Henry Schoolcrafts reported Niagara Falls. This name is Mohawk. It means, according to Mrs. Kerr, the neck. The term being first applied to the portage or neck of land between Lakes Erie and Ontario. Alright, because that whole land is basically Iroquois, which is 5 tribes, or 6 later. Mohawk being one of them. It says a number of figures have been suggested as first circulating an eyewitness description of Niagara Falls. The Frenchman Samuel de Champlain visited the area as early as 1604 during his exploration of Canada, and members of his party reported to him the spectacular waterfalls which he described in his journals. The Finnish-Swedish naturalist Per Kam explored the area in the early 18th century and is credited with the first scientific description of the falls. And then it goes on, so forth. Yeah, it just goes on. So, anyone have any?
Yeah, I
breakdown?
have a scripture here. Yeah, because you know, a lot of our people, like I mentioned about the Underground Railroad, a lot of our people, they thought that running to Niagara Falls was going to be safe. But when you actually go into history, right? Because if you're in slavery in the South, and during that time, Florida was more free, right? Than running all the way up north, you know. So some of our people thought that going up north and coming to Canada was going to be some safe haven for them, you know. But really, it turned out a hell for them because Canada allowed slave catchers to come get them, you know. But that's the way they tried to present it in schools. So this is Ecclesiasticus 12 and 10. Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. Though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed, and beware of him, and thou shalt be unto him as if thou hast wiped a looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust hath not been altogether wiped away.
Yep, that's right. Because it says, "Never trust thine enemy, like as iron rusted." Man, you can't stop iron rusting iron. Rust ironing. Sorry, man. You cannot stop. Once iron starts rusting, it'll spread, or like cancer. So that's what the white man is basically. He deceives you, man.
So he puts on that sugar coating on top, and then deceives you, man.
Matter of fact, brothers, hold that since you have that. This is the thing I was telling you. The two-row wampum treaty. Like that idiot came up. David Calfchild. All right. So this is the two-row wampum treaty, also known as the Tawaganshi Agreement of 1613, is an agreement said to have been made between representatives of the 5 nations of the Iroquois. They're known as the because the word Iroquois is really a French word meaning snakes, so they're not really called Iroquois. They're known as the Haudenosaunee, which means people of the Longhouse. All right, and representatives of the Dutch government in 1613 in what is now upstate New York. The agreement is considered by the Haudenosaunee to be the basis of all of their subsequent treaties with European and North American governments, including the Covenant Chain Treaty with the British in 1677 and the Treaty of the Canandaigua with the United States in 1794. It says the pact's existence is a source of debate, with some scholarly sources maintaining that a treaty between the Dutch and the Mohawk Nation did not take place or took place at a later date. It says in August 2013, the Journal of Early American History published a special issue dedicated to exploring the two-row tradition. Evidence of an agreement consists of the wampum and oral tradition. The authenticity of a written agreement is questionable. All right, because the white man made the treaty, but now he's saying that it never existed. All right, I'm going to read a little here. It says, the 1613 agreement was recorded by the Haudenosaunee in the wampum belt known as the two-row wampum. And you see it right here. It says, this wampum records the meaning of the agreement, which declared peaceful coexistence between the Haudenosaunee and Dutch settlers in the area. The pattern of the belt consists of 2 rows of purple wampum beads against a background of white beads. The purple beads signify the courses of 2 vessels, a Haudenosaunee canoe and a European ship, traveling down the river of life together, parallel but never touching. right? The 3 white stripes denote peace and friendship. It says Haudenosaunee tradition also records the specific meaning of the belt as follows in the form of a Haudenosaunee reply to the initial Dutch treaty proposal. You say that you are our father and I am your son. We say we will not be like father and son, but like brothers. And that's right, because they are brothers of Jacob and Esau. Alright? But you're not supposed to trust him. He's your evil brother. It says, this wampum belt confirms our words. Neither of us will make compulsory laws or interfere in the internal affairs of the other. Neither of us will try to steer the other's vessel. Alright, and you can't do that with the white man because his whole thing is to fuck shit up, basically.
So
can you get Revelation
the laws
6?
that are encroaching on this
Revelation 6.
you can start with the Indian Act.
Yep.
All right. A lot of these so-called white Canadians. All right. They go back to Dutch, their Dutch ancestry.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And then they propagate, that hate. Especially if there's any native protests. You see certain white people rising up, and guess what? They go back to the Dutch. So then they would be under that treaty. But guess what? They're breaking it. That's why the natives have to start rising up. All right.
Yep. It says, and you can't coexist with the white man because he's the devil, man. All right. That treaty. First of all, they're saying the treaty doesn't even exist. All right.
I got a script.
Go ahead.
This is Daniel 8:24. And his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. And he shall destroy wonderfully, and shall prosper in practice, and shall destroy the mighty and the holy people.
Yep.
And through his policy, also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand.
Yep. Witchcraft. All right. And subtlety, like a snake, like a serpent. That's why certain tribes they called you the serpent. They called you fork tongue, right?
And then look how he switched it. He called the Iroquois serpent.
Yep, that's right. Go ahead.
He called them the red man too, right?
Yeah, called them the red man. And then that new show, Dusk Till Dawn. They have the vampires as the Mayans, and then they're supposed to be serpents. Going back to Quetzalcoatl.
Yep.
So it's really trying to destroy your heritage.
Yep.
And he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many.
Yep, that's right. So what does that mean? When he came here, he proclaimed peace. He said, "We're not gonna mess with you. We can coexist." But then he started messing up the villages. He started using bio-warfare, right? He paid one tribe off to fight the next one. He gave one tribe guns. He gave one tribe alcohol to consume themselves, right? That was it.
He shall also stand up against the prince of princes,
Yep.
but he shall be broken without hand.
That's right. That's Yahweh Shai. So he's gonna stand up against the prince of princes, but he's gonna be broken down. And that's the Third World War, Armageddon, which is coming to this place, man. All right, because all these nations are gonna be fighting each other. But when the Lord comes, there's gonna be world peace. There is gonna be world unity. All the nations are gonna come together, and they're gonna fight against the Lord. And then the Lord is gonna mess them up. All right. I'm just gonna read this last part. It said the written document. The existence of written treaty was first made public in an article in 1968 by history professor and documents collector L.G. Van Loon. He claimed to have acquired it from an unnamed person on the Mississauga Reservation in Canada. All right, so he got the document, but they don't acknowledge. That's why all these natives, man, they all talk about honor, the treaty, this and that. You can't talk to the white man about things like that, man. All right. You have a revelation.
Yeah.
The red horse.
Another thing to mention too, this guy Sean Antelo, he was the head chief over Canada. He stepped down because of Education Act. That a lot of the chiefs are saying this is bullshit. This is infringing on our rights, and Canada is not doing enough.